Picture this. A female senator walks up to the gates of Nigeria's National Assembly yesterday morning, armed with a court order that says she has every right to enter. But the security guards look at her and say, "No, you can't come in." This isn't some random person trying to sneak into government buildings. This is Senator NATASHA AKPOTI, a duly elected representative of the people, being physically blocked from doing the job Nigerians voted her to do. But here is where it gets explosive. She's not just fighting any ordinary battle. She is in an all-out war with the most powerful man in the Nigerian Senate. And the weapons they are using are not just political. We are talking sexual harassment allegations, court battles, constitutional crisis, and a power struggle that is exposing the ugly truth about how democracy really works in Nigeria. This is the story that has the entire country asking, who really controls our government? Welcome back to RNN TV, where we don't just report the news, we decode it. I'm bringing you the stories that matter with the context and analysis mainstream media won't touch. Today's story is not just about two politicians having a disagreement. This is about power, abuse, democracy under attack, and the brave woman who might be fighting the most important battle for Nigerian women in politics right now. We are going deep into a conflict that started with explosive allegations and has now become a full-scale constitutional crisis that will change how power works in Nigeria forever. Let me break down exactly what happened yesterday, because this story is more shocking than anything you see in a Nollywood movie. Drama unfolded on July 22, 2025 at the National Assembly Complex in Abuja as Senator NATASHA AKPOTI was barred from entering the premises despite a court ruling in her favor. Think about that for a second. Federal court said she should be allowed in, but Senate President Akpabio's people said, "We don't care what the court says." But to understand how explosive this really is, we need to go back to where this war started. And trust me, this is where things get really uncomfortable. Senator NATASHA AKPOTI accused Senate President Akpabio of making sexual overtures towards her in the presence of her husband. Yes, you heard that right. Sexual harassment allegations against the most powerful man in the Nigerian Senate. According to Senator Akpoti, Akpabio demanded sexual favors from her. She claims she has concrete evidence to substantiate her sexual harassment allegations. But here is where the plot thickens. Instead of investigating these serious allegations, what did the Senate do? They suspended her for 6 months. Let me repeat that because it is important. A woman makes sexual harassment allegations against her boss, and instead of investigating the man she accused, they punish her. Does that sound like justice to you? Now, let me introduce you to the two heavyweight fighters in this political boxing match, because understanding who they are makes this story even more explosive. In the red corner, we have Senate President Akpabio. This man isn't just any politician. He's former governor of Akwa Ibom State, former minister, and now the most powerful man in the Nigerian Senate. When Akpabio speaks, the entire Senate is supposed to listen. He controls billions of naira in budget allocations, he decides which laws get passed, and he has the power to make or break political careers. Akpabio has publicly denied any wrongdoing. Since the 20th of February, I have been inundated with phone calls from various Nigerians. I would like to state that at no time did I sexually harass Senator NATASHA AKPOTI, he said during a plenary session. In the blue corner, we have Senator NATASHA AKPOTI, representing Kogi Central Senatorial District. Now, this woman is not your typical politician. She is a lawyer, she is fearless, and she's proven she doesn't back down from powerful men. But here is what makes this fight so dangerous for her. She's not just fighting Akpabio. She's fighting the entire system that protects powerful men when women speak up against them. The embattled senator, facing a legal battle with the Senate and the federal government, had vowed to resume plenary on Tuesday, July 22, 2025, in defiance of her ongoing suspension. That takes serious courage or serious desperation. Here's where this story becomes bigger than just two politicians fighting. This is now a full-blown constitutional crisis that threatens the foundation of Nigerian democracy. A federal high court sitting in Abuja nullified the 6-month suspension imposed on AKPOTI by the Senate, ruling the action unconstitutional and without due process. The court described the suspension as illegal and ordered an immediate reinstatement. But Senate President Akpabio has formally appealed the Federal High Court's judgment, challenging the court's jurisdiction and asserting the Senate's autonomy over its internal affairs. Do you see what is happening here? The judiciary says one thing, the legislature says another. This is exactly how democracies collapse, when different branches of government start ignoring each other. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has filed a lawsuit against Akpabio over the failure to reverse the patently unlawful suspension of Senator NATASHA AKPOTI, as the purported suspension is based solely on the peaceful exercise of our rights to freedom of expression. Even former Senate President Bukola Saraki has disagreed with Akpabio's handling of this matter. When your own former colleagues are calling you out, you know the situation is serious. What message does this send to young women who want to serve their country? Prominent socio-political activist Aisha Yesufu has declared unwavering support for Senator NATASHA AKPOTI. International media outlets like CBS News and Al Jazeera have picked up this story, calling it what it is, a female senator being punished for making sexual harassment claims. But here is what is really scary. According to some senators, Senator Onyekachi Nwemboyin, they claim the harassment never happened and that he was an eyewitness to the reported incident. So, now, we have male senators vouching for other male senators. Does that surprise anyone? The burden of proof is on Senator Akpoti to prove her allegations. But ask yourself this. In a system dominated by powerful men who protect each other, how exactly is a woman supposed to prove sexual harassment when the men in power control the investigation? This story is bigger than NATASHA AKPOTI. This is bigger than Godswill Akpabio. This is about whether Nigeria is a country where laws matter or where powerful people can do whatever they want. When a court says reinstate the senator, and the Senate says, we don't care what the court says, that is not just disrespect, that is the breakdown of democratic institutions. When a woman makes serious allegations against a powerful man and gets punished instead of getting justice, that is not just unfair, that is systematic oppression. When elected representatives can be blocked from doing the job voters elected them to do, that is not just politics, that is the death of democracy. But here is what gives me hope. Nigerians are not staying silent. SERAP is fighting in court, Aisha Yesufu is speaking out, constituents are petitioning the Code of Conduct Bureau, international media is watching. The real test will be what happens next. Will Akpabio continue to defy the court order? Will other senators find the courage to stand up for what is right? Will Nigerian women get justice in their own country? This fight between NATASHA AKPOTI and Godswill Akpabio is not just about them. It is about what kind of country Nigeria wants to be. A country where power protects itself, or a country where justice actually exists. And that is a fight every Nigerian has a stake in. Let me share some details about this story that will shock you, because there are layers to this conflict that most people don't know about. First, this is not Senator Akpoti's first time facing dangerous situations. On April 18, 2025, Senator Akpoti reported that armed men had attacked her family home. The senator stated that the assailants raided and vandalized the residence that originally belonged to her grandfather. Think about that. A sitting senator's family home gets attacked by armed men. Is this a coincidence, or is someone trying to intimidate her into silence? Second, the legal battles are getting messy. The Federal High Court in Abuja fined Senator NATASHA AKPOTI 5 million naira for contempt due to a satirical post against Senate President Godswill Akpabio, while also directing a recall from suspension. So the court is saying, we're fining you for making jokes about Akpabio, but also your suspension was illegal. Third, there is a Facebook controversy that makes this even more complex. A woman named Povduru displayed phone call logs claiming to have evidence supporting Senator Akpoti's allegations, but she denied this evidence claim. So even her supporters are causing confusion about what evidence actually exists. Here's what really bothers me about this whole situation. Senator Akpoti has been resubmitting her sexual harassment petition multiple times. The chairman of the Senate Committee on Diaspora and NGOs has again resubmitted a sexual harassment petition against Senate President Godswill Akpabio during plenary. Why does a woman have to keep resubmitting the same complaints over and over again? Because the men in power keep ignoring it, hoping she'll get tired and give up. This story is still developing, and what happens next with whether Nigeria moves forward or backward as a democracy. Here's my question for you. Do you think Senator NATASHA AKPOTI is a brave woman fighting for justice, or do you think this is just political drama? And more importantly, what would you do if you were in a position? Would you keep fighting or would you give up? Drop your honest thoughts in the comments below. And if you are a woman watching this, I especially want to hear from you. Do you feel safe speaking up against powerful men in Nigeria? If you believe stories like this need to be told, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We're committed to bringing you the truth, even when it is uncomfortable, even when it is controversial. Share this video with someone who needs to understand what is really happening in Nigerian politics. These conversations matter because your democracy depends on it. Thanks for watching RNN TV. Remember, knowledge is power, but only if we use it to demand better from our leaders.